Hi y'all, welcome to Farm Girl Diaries. My name is Caitlin and it is right around Valentine's Day. And I love Valentine's Day, not for the lovey-dovey Valentine's Day stuff, but that it means I get to start my seeds. So I'm down in my seed room today and we are going to have a big day getting everything started. So I thought I would break this video up into two different videos because I think they're going to be pretty long. I thought I would do the first video talking about how to start seeds and some of the mistakes that I've made starting seeds, and then the second video will actually be starting the seeds, so make sure you stay tuned for that one. But the first video I wanted to talk about what I'm going to start and how I'm going to plant it both in my garden and in my seed trays. I have been starting seeds for a couple years now, and each year I get progressively better. This is my first year that I actually have a seed room. Last year, I'm gonna put a picture in here, the seeds took over my dining room. I could not use my dining room for about 3.5 months, and I had barricades in front of my doors to try to keep the cats out of the dining room because they were going in and eating my plants. And I'll put another picture in here that'll show that did not work. So every year that I've started seeds, though, I have learned something new. For instance, cats like heat mats, or in addition to heat mats, or in addition to cats, peppers like heat mats as well. So we're going to start with one of my horrible stories, and then we're going to go into what I got in front of me here. So it is important to have some facts when you're going into starting seeds. I started seeds, I think it was 3 years ago I started my first seeds, and I didn't have the equipment. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm just like, I'm going to buy pots, I'm going to buy soil, and I'm just going to throw seeds in and we'll see what happens. So I started tomatoes. So I filled, and I didn't do this many. I think I just did like one of those burpee 6-pot soil that you can just put the pot right in the soil. I don't like them, by the way. I find they don't break down enough. So I always use actual plastic trays and then just take them out and put them in the soil when I'm ready. But that's beside the point. So let's say I started 20 tomatoes, and out of 20 tomatoes, 10 germinated. Well, in the cells that didn't germinate, I went and planted a pepper seed because it's not going to germinate. It's been 3 weeks, so I planted a pepper seed. And I was very diligent. I kept them separate. Here are my tomatoes. Here are my peppers. Well, my peppers looked a lot like my tomatoes. And I thought, that must be what they look like when they're young. Fast forward to spring, I had like 30 some tomato plants. And they were all really small and weak because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't fertilize them at all. I didn't even give them adequate light. It was awful. And then I put them out in the sun too early and I bleached them. It was a whole thing. But I was determined to use these tomatoes. I was not going to let all of this effort go to waste. So I put all 20 whatever tomatoes in my garden. And my entire garden that year was only tomatoes. I didn't have room for anything else. But the tomatoes were so stunted, they didn't honestly produce anything. So that year, my garden was a complete and total disaster, which really sucked. So now I learned some things that if I had known back then, it would have been like, well, obviously. For instance, peppers need a heat mat to germinate. Peppers are a very heat-loving plant. They love 85, 90, 95 degree temperatures. And if I had known peppers need a heat mat to germinate, I would have been able to realize I didn't give my soil, my seeds any heat. So obviously my peppers didn't germinate. So clearly these look like tomatoes, smell like tomatoes, are tomatoes. So it's things like that you only learn by trial and error. So that's what I hope to give to you guys, is the things that I've learned by trial and error. There's a whole bunch of other seed videos out there, and if you are a gardener, you know the majority of it. So I thought that this would be a good video to talk about just the things that I've learned that I haven't heard anyone else talk about. So, number 1, peppers need heat mats. If you want to grow a pepper, you need to invest in heat mat. Here is mine. I have a big guy, and I'm going to start my peppers today. I'm going to get him plugged in, and I'm going to leave my peppers on him. Okay, so let's talk about the seeds I'm going to start today and the seeds I'm not going to start today. So there are 2 important dates in the spring, for me at least. The first one is Valentine's Day, and then the second one is St. Patty's Day. So Valentine's Day, I start a lot of my seeds. I have a big old pile over here of seeds I'm going to start. St. Patty's Day is my second date. I'm in southern Pennsylvania, so I think I'm in 7B, depending on what map I'm using. I'm like right on a line. But around St. Patty's Day, I can get in my garden and I can plant a lot of my spring plants. And that's what I'm going to talk about first. So these plants, I'm not going to start in seed trays. I'm just going to directly sow outside. But I am going to be starting them in a little over a month. So the first one I'm really excited about is your peas. My sugar snap peas go in the ground around St. Patty's Day. And they get off to a good start. I'm harvesting snap peas normally by mid-April. So that's super exciting. So my peas, I don't start in cell trays. I just direct seed them. All of my lettuces, I have kale here, Swiss chard, arugula. Look, I have a rainbow Swiss chard, which I'm really excited to start this year. Carrots. Oh, and I also, because I'm all into, I want pretty things this year, I got rainbow carrots. Super excited. But your beets, all of these things need to be direct seeded. Now, one way to think about this is, first of all, anything that has a root. So our carrots, our radishes, beets, turnips, all these have a root. So I would plant them in here and try to move them. I'm not just upset in the roots of the plant. I'm upset in the actual root, which is the actual fruit. So I want to eat that root. I don't want to mess it up. So all of these root vegetables, we direct sow right into the ground. I've never had any issues. If someone tries to tell you, oh, I can start carrots for you and you can put them in your garden, it is possible, but it's honestly not worth it. Buy the seed packet and I just sprinkle them in my garden. It's fine. So they're all going to get started around St. Patty's Day, assuming the weather holds. I'm not going to go out and start it if it's snowing or they're calling for a blizzard the next week. But that is my normal plan. And then things like Swiss chard, kale, and all your lettuces, again, those you can start in cell trays. But if you have a garden, just buy the packet. And I have literally never had an issue. Just direct sow and directly in the garden. They pop up. They bloom like crazy. So all of these things are my spring vegetables. These are the things I am going to be eating first, but I'm going to direct sow all of these into my garden in about a month. So we're not worried about these. So I'm going to move all of these to the side, and we're going to talk about what we are starting today. And we have a list. So the second point that I want to make, the second rule that I want to make is, it's not just a matter of starting your plants. I'm going to put a seed in here and it's going to be great. You want to keep in mind the size of the plant that you're growing. So every year without fail, and this year I'm going to try really hard not to do it. Every year without fail, I will plant seeds together that don't go together. So for example, I'll start tomatoes and okra and broccoli and cabbages, and then I'll throw in a cucumber and I'll throw in a zucchini. And I'll put a picture in here to show you. What happens is those big plants, cucumbers, zucchinis, butternut squashes, pumpkins, I know I'm missing some, spaghetti squash. All of those big squash plants, they all have big leaves. So when they germinate and they set out their germination leaves, which is the first two leaves you're going to see on your plant right after it pops up out of the soil, they're much, 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 much larger than a tomato or a pepper. So what happens is if you plant these kind of plants, if you plant cucumbers in with your tomatoes, when you have your tray and you have a humidity dome on top of it, like this, your tomatoes are going to be barely popping out of the ground when your cucumbers are already germinated. You have the germination leaves and they're starting to grow their true leaves, and they're pushing up the top of the humidity lid. So you got to take the humidity lid off because the cucumbers are so big. So you want to keep in mind those kind of plants and plant them together. You don't want to plant them with things like tomatoes, peppers, okra, the things that take a little bit longer to get going, just because they're going to get so big. So I bought these as extras, but you don't need to do this. So let's talk about the materials that you need. So I bought some 6-pack trays. I really like 6-pack trays because it allows everything to kind of stay organized and stay together rather than having individual cells. Like I have a whole bunch of these. They're just individual cells, and this makes moving plants kind of annoying. So I bought these on Amazon. Oops. Oh, that's nice. And they were just 15 bucks. And there's 12 in each, but you break these apart. So these are going to be nice for starting those big plants. This is what I'm going to do this year. Start those big plants directly in here. My green beans, green bean bushes. Don't start green bean vine plants. I like to direct sow them. But if I want to start green bean bush plants, I start them in here. Cantaloupe, watermelons, pumpkins, zucchini, butternut squash. All of those plants I'm going to start in here because it gives them a little bit more space than in here. And it gives them a little more space to grow. But then it's not infecting the humidity lid with whatever is growing in the rest of the cells. So I bought these for that purpose for this year. But if you don't have that, last year I used red Solo cups. And I had my mom, every time she went to McDonald's, she would save me the cup. I just drill a little hole in the bottom, and I planted directly in here as well. I planted a lot of things in red Solo cups. So you don't have to have a lot of materials in order to start your seeds. So what do I have? What do you need? You do need some trays. So you can go to your local home improvement store, Home Depot, Walmart, Lowe's, and you can buy ready-made sets of start-in trays. So it comes with a humidity dome, your cell liner, and then a tray. Oh, there's plants in there. And your tray. I bought a whole bunch off of Amazon. I bought them separately. I think I get 10 in the pack. So I got 10 of these, and 10 new lids, which I haven't opened yet. And I like doing it that way because these aren't the best quality, but they're better than the kit that I'm buying. These guys up there were the kits, and they're not the nicest ones. They break really easily. They're really flimsy. These are a bit stronger. Eventually I do want to go. I know Bootstrap Farmer sells really nice high quality seed starting equipment and pots and trays and stuff. I just haven't got the money yet for that. That is an investment, but it is going to last you for a long time. But for now, I just bought these off of Amazon. They weren't expensive, and they're better than what I can buy in the home improvement store. If you don't want to do the trays, you can start seeds without the trays, but we're going to talk about the pros and cons of that. But the one thing I think you do need is just to have some sort of basin that can hold water. I'm a big proponent of starting seeds and having them be water fed, or all my plants water fed. If you can see here, I have all of my plants here. So these are my spring flowers, if I can get them out. I have 6 packs, but then I have them in trays, so they're being bottom watered. So what that means is if you top water, you don't need to encourage the roots to grow deep. So if you top water plants, the roots can stay near the surface because they're getting water at the surface. But if you bottom water, you make those roots go through the soil to the bottom of the pot to gather up some of that water, which makes better roots, more roots, and stronger roots. So I'm a big proponent of bottom watering. So you technically don't need these trays. I can buy, if money is an option, I can use these seed trays or some sort of water basin. If you're getting started to see if you like it, you don't need to make a big investment. What you can do is I've saved a whole bunch of these from last year, my 6 packs, and you can start your seeds directly in here and then leave them in the trays. If you have some of these saved, or again, if you have some red Solo cups, you could start them right in here and leave them in here. So I do recommend, if you want to have any sort of garden, you should be starting your own seeds. It's much cheaper, and I think it's so much more satisfaction starting your own seeds and knowing that, I started this from seed and now I'm feeding it to my family. I love the feeling. So kind of figure out what you think you need. Especially if you want to save money, you do need grow lights. I have a whole bunch of different kinds, and I just ordered some more grow lights for my 3rd shelf here. You do absolutely need grow lights, and you do need a heat mat if you're starting peppers. If you're not starting peppers, you can have your stuff just in a warm room. I'm in my basement right now, but my basement's probably like 65, 70 degrees right now. It's pretty nice. So I don't need a heat mat for anything but the plants I'm gonna start my peppers on. So you need to buy grow lights. If you want to start peppers, you need to buy a heat mat. Otherwise, you really can get by just in red solo cups, but I do recommend buying your seed cell starters, buying the whole setup. It does make your life easier, but just be mindful of the investment that it is. You do need to buy a seed starting mix. So I like to buy, this is Jiffy. I bought this back in the summer. It was on sale, so I bought like 6 bags. I like this. It works well. Seed started mix is a lighter, fluffier soil, so it really doesn't bog down your plant. So when your seeds are getting started, when they germinate, they're just so fragile that if you had a traditional garden soil mix, that's really dense, that's really heavy, and it's not the best for starting your seeds. So I highly recommend using a seed starting mix, and then this has the nutrients in it that encourage seeds to germinate. What this doesn't have though is this has the nutrients the seed needs just to get germinated. You do need to fertilize your seeds afterwards to make sure they're getting enough nutrients. What I do is I start my seeds in my seed trays or my red solo cups, depending on what I'm doing. And when I up pot them, then I up pot using a regular garden soil. I have just a big Miracle Grow garden soil down here. I just use whatever's on sale. And then I fertilize that once a month with fish emulsion. And last year I had great success with that, and I'm going to do that again this year. My plants loved the fish emulsion, and I bought that online, but you can buy that again, I think, at any home improvement store or any garden store. I actually might be out of it, so I might need to go buy some more. So that's the one thing to keep in mind. The seed starting mix is needed to start your seeds, but it doesn't have the nutrients your plant needs to go from seed to garden. So you will need to make sure you're either up potting it and giving it more soil, or if you're planting directly into a cup like this and planning, I'm going to put my seed in here, and then from this, it's going to go to the garden. They just need to make sure that you're modifying this and you're fertilizing this soil in here, because this soil is not going to get you to the garden. So marking your plants can be however you want it to be. My first year, I went to the dollar store and I just bought, here's a little piece of one. I just bought popsicle sticks. And I put the plant on the popsicle stick, and it worked. It worked for the first year. And then when I planted them in my red solo cups, I just wrote the name on the red solo cup. Easy peasy. This worked fine. The only issue I had with the popsicle stick is it does get moldy. When you stick it in the wet soil, it did get moldy. And it didn't affect my plant at all, but it just got gross and eventually got hard to read. So this year I did invest, and again, you don't need to do this, especially if you're getting started. Do the cheapest route available and make sure you like it. But this year I did invest in a box of tags. So I have a whole bunch of different colors. Let me see. I have a whole bunch of different colors. Oops. And this is how I'm going to be marking my plants. These are plastic. They're waterproof. I can write on these in Sharpie, and it's not going anywhere. And with the popsicle sticks, I had to break them to make them fit into my cells. But these guys, I don't. I can put these in my cells. The humidity tray still fits over them, and they work really well. And then what I like about it is these can go directly from the cell to the whatever pot I put it in next when I upplant it. I won't leave my vegetables in here. I will upplant them probably in about a month, whenever they're ready. I also recommend, if this is your first year, to keep a log of everything you're doing. So this year, I'm not going to keep too much of a log. I think this YouTube is basically going to be my log. But last year I printed out a spreadsheet, and I had all my plants on the spreadsheet, and I marked how many I started, when they germinated, when I upplanted them, and then when they went in the ground. And it really helped me time out when I need to start my seeds, when I need to plant them, and when they need to go in the ground. It kind of really helped just this year when I'm preparing for my garden for this year. I was able to go back and look at last year's schedule and know exactly, my tomatoes took 7 days to germinate, or my peppers took 12, whatever it may be. So, finally, One more thing, I'm going to go over the seeds that I'm starting today. We have a whole bunch of seeds we're going to start, so this is going to be a lot of work. So I'm going to be starting okra, but I got this fun new burgundy okra, so I'm going to start a couple of my regular okras, and I literally just saved one of my okras from my garden last year. So I'm going to do a couple of my regular okras and then a couple of my burgundy okras, and I'm excited to have, I guess this year is all about, the theme is going to be all about a rainbow gardening. So I got a whole bunch of just fun different color things that I'm planting. So I think this is going to be the rainbow garden. So I'm excited to have a burgundy okra in my garden. I'm going to be starting a flat Dutch late cabbage. This is a cabbage that takes 3.5 months, but I'm going to start this, and my hope is to get this in the ground by the end of March. And this is a cool weather loving plant. It doesn't like the real hot heat. So if I can get this in the ground as early as possible and have those heads form before we get into the real hot summer of, middle of July, that would be wonderful. So I'm going to get a whole bunch of them started, and I'm going to get a whole bunch of broccoli started. This year, I had a really good success with my broccoli. I was really excited about it. So I'm going to quadruple my broccoli. I'm going to try to, I think I'm going to start 20 broccolis for my garden. I think that's a lot. But my hope is, and I've never done this before, my hope is to grow my own broccoli this spring and freeze it so that over winter, broccoli is one of the things, broccoli and cauliflower are two of the vegetables that I buy over winter. So I guess there's three. In winter, I buy broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts. So I do allow myself to buy broccoli. I love broccoli. I eat a lot of it in wintertime. So I'm hoping I can plant this in the spring, put it in my freezer, so that's one thing I don't have to buy the following winter from the grocery store. I don't have luck buying I don't have luck growing cauliflower and Brussels sprouts, so I'm not going to try them again until I get a bigger garden. I've tried multiple years with no success. So those two, we're just going to keep buying it until I get a bigger garden and I have room to kind of dedicate to something that may or may not work. So I'm going to get a whole bunch of broccoli started, like I said, probably 20 plants. And the cabbage is getting made mostly for sauerkraut. I do want to do a couple more jars of my pickled cabbage. I know my mom wants some cabbage for just fresh eating, but the majority of my cabbage is going to go to sauerkraut. I'm doing a couple fun new plants this year. This first one is a koozie squash. I got this in a seed swap that I did, and I'm not even sure what this is, but I'm excited. So I got 3 seeds. I'm going to start 3 seeds and see what happens. And I'm also going to direct sow, probably in May. I got red noodle beans for the first time. Never had them, but I got them, and I'm gonna try them, see if I like them. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how I want to really, really quickly show what I'm doing. I don't want to waste a ton of time because I don't think a lot of people really care exactly what I'm sowing. I am going to be starting all of my herbs, so basil, cilantro, oregano, and parsley. I'm gonna get all of them started now. I've had success with parsley and basil. Basil to a small degree. I got Genovese basil this time. I love Genovese basil. But I have not had success. I've not had success with cilantro, really, or oregano. I need to start sage. I don't think I have any sage plants. I need to make a note of this. I need to buy sage because I need to start some sage plants. One really neat thing about cilantro is when cilantro goes to seed, it forms coriander, forms this little ball, and that's the spice coriander. But that is actually the cilantro seed. So I bought this for 25 cents at the dollar store, but if you're intended to buy cilantro, just go buy coriander or go to your spice cabinet if it's not too old and get coriander from your spice cabinet and plant that. That will be cilantro. So some of your spices or some of your herbs can actually go into some of your spice cabinet. So that's really exciting. So I'm going to get those started. I'm also going to start a couple different zucchinis. I have just my regular black beauty zucchini, and then I have a golden squash zucchini, which is the yellow zucchini. So I'm going to get some of them started. And now let's go into the majority of what I'm starting this time around. Peppers and tomatoes. So I have a whole bunch of peppers that we're going to do. I love banana peppers. So we're going to do a whole bunch of banana peppers. In my video last time I talked about, I probably need like 12 banana pepper plants just for myself. So we're going to start a lot of them. I'm going to start some Tabasco seeds. These have been in here since I harvested my Tabasco plant in like September. So I'm going to start some Tabasco seeds. What else? I'm just going to start a whole bunch of yellow or bell peppers. I have a yellow bell pepper. I have a King of the North pepper, which I think is just, from what the research that I've quickly done, is just a regular bell pepper. Red, green, yellow bell pepper. Orange yummies are my favorite peppers. I love orange yummies, so we're going to get some of them started. They're like a snacking pepper. And then I'm going to get, I don't know what this one is. Maybe some jalapenos. I'm going to start some jalapenos for sure. And let's actually open up. I'm missing a lot of peppers because I have 2 full boxes of pepper seeds. I want to start some red hot cherry peppers. These peppers I absolutely hate. I hate them so much. But I know some people like them, so I like to make them. And then I'll sell them or give them away. You will see these seeds are saved from 2020. As long as you're keeping your seeds in a cool, dark space, seeds want to grow. So even those seeds, these are 2 years old, that's fine. They'll still germinate just fine. I'm also going to do a Thai chili pepper. The Thai chili pepper I like to use for both a crushed red pepper and when I make my sweet chili sauce. That's really good. I have a whole bunch of banana pepper seeds and bell pepper seeds in here. This one is my orange yummy. This one is my bell. So all of those are going to get started. I have so much to start. I'm honestly a little overwhelmed. A little overwhelmed. And then I got some new peppers this year that I'm really excited about. So I got a shishito. I bought a shishito for the first time last year. And I had 1 pepper off of it. And then I had a tree come down and take out a good chunk of my garden, including the shishito. So I only had 1. And I don't think I cooked it right. And it was really spicy. I honestly don't think I enjoyed it that much. But I don't think I did it right. So I got another pack. And we're going to try some shishitos again this year. And then these were 2 new peppers I got that I'm super excited to try. I got these from Baker Creek. This one is a Sugar Rush Peach. Look how fun that looks. And I like the name, Sugar Rush Peach. It is a exciting new heirloom. Its fruits are packed with loads of super sweet tropical flavor, and the seeds bring a smoky, complex heat. I think that sounds super fun. So I'm going to try them. And then this one just looks super cute. Pippins Golden Honey, again from Baker Creek. This one says, a delightfully ornamental pepper that changes color and finally ripens to a vibrant orange. Oh, it's a multicolored sweet pepper. A beloved heirloom of the Philadelphia African American community of the early 1900s. How fun. And then jalapeno. And I think this is jalapeno. Yeah. Perfect. So, there's all my pepper plants. The thing with peppers to know is peppers do take longer to germinate. So I am starting everything a little bit early. My last frost is the last weekend in April, the first weekend in May, somewhere in that week. And I'm about 12 weeks ahead of that. So normally a lot of your plants say start 6 to 8 weeks early. But I do like to give myself a little bit of a buffer just in case I have plants that die, I don't have bad germination, something happens that they don't survive. I give myself a couple extra weeks to get them started if needed. One thing to note is you don't want to start your seeds too early. So I do know my peppers, I'm starting them at a really good time. I could wait to start my tomatoes right now, but I'm just going to go ahead and get them started now. I think it'll be fine. But don't start them too early. I wouldn't start my tomatoes or anything else other than maybe my peppers. I wouldn't start anything else before this. If your vegetables start to bloom in the house, you're going to just stunt them. If you start your peppers and tomatoes too early and they get too much growth on them, when you put them in the ground, they're just going to be stunted. And they're going to go through shock, and you're honestly not going to get any extra vegetables off of them because they're just going to spend a couple weeks in shock trying to acclimate to their new surroundings. So don't start them too early. You don't want them too big before you go in the ground. It seems like you would like them big, but you don't. So I think we're at a really good starting point right now. So all of those are going to get started. Okay, next is my tomatoes. So I plant a lot of tomatoes too, and I got in my seed swap, I got a couple of tomatoes I've never had before, but I've heard a lot of other people talk about. So the first one I'm really excited for is the Dr. Witchie's. I got some Dr. Witchie's tomato seeds. I got some Boxcar Willie tomato seeds, and I got some Amish paste tomatoes. So I got some of those. I'm really excited for that. And then I bought some fondue tomatoes. So I always start sun gold tomatoes. I love the sun gold cherry tomatoes. I think they're delicious. And then I always like to start a big yellow golden tomato. I had this Sunny Boy tomato. He's a big, gorgeous yellow tomato. I always love to start just one of them for me and maybe a couple others to sell. But I like to have at least one in my garden. I'm going to do aroma tomato. This is the best tomato for making your sauces, making your soups. This is the best cooking tomato, my aromas. I'm doing this fun little brandywine yellow. I'm going to do another yellow tomato because this one looks really cute. A tomato can be cute. And then I got this one because this one looks fun, a mushroom basket. So one of my favorite things to do is in the summertime I love to make caprese salads. And so this year I'm all about colorful. This is the year of the rainbow apparently. And I'm all about the different shapes. So I was really excited to have like a different kind of shape in my tomato caprese salads. I thought that would be fun. And then this one just looked pretty. This is a solar flare. Never had it before, but I thought it'd be fun. And then this guy, how do you say no to this guy? The Brandywine. Like, he's massive. He is massive. He is going to be a beautiful stuffing tomato. And then I said no to these originally, and then I went to Lowe's and I saw them and I said, okay. Cherokee purple. Again, year of the rainbow. I just want a purple tomato in my caprese salad. So the other things, those are my tomatoes that I'm going to start. I did forget to mention I'm going to start my spaghetti squash and my butternut squash. There's seeds for that somewhere. I'm going to start that today as well. And I have a couple of flowers I'm going to start. I bought this at Lowe's recently. It's a petunia mixed colors hybrid. I do want to do a video going over all of the flowers that I started. I did start petunias, but my petunias did horrible this year. So I bought another batch to try to see if I can get any petunias for the spring because currently I have almost none. I'm going to try, I started last year, didn't have any success. I'm going to try again growing some echinacea. These are cone flowers and they're gorgeous flowers, but their medicinal benefits are really great. So I want to grow some of these both for the beauty and for the health benefits. And then the last thing is phlox. Phlox is a spring flower. So I want to get some of these grown so I can just throw these in my garden, add some color in the spring. So that's a lot to start today. I do have more things that we're not starting today, mainly flowers. My zinnias and my sunflowers, I do want to start inside this year, but we're going to wait quite a bit. I think I might start these maybe the beginning or the middle of March. Probably in a month I'll get these started. They don't need to be started right now. So we got a lot to sow today. So this is going to be a long day. Oh, I did forget. See, I keep forgetting things. Marigolds. I saved some marigolds from last year. And calendula. Calendulas are called pot marigolds. They are a beautiful yellow flower. But again, their health benefits are great. I put it in teas. I put it in herbal lotions and stuff. And their seeds look super cool. Their seeds look like little fossils. Like, that's their seed. Can you see that? Like that's a seed. And then they have just like little fossils. They just look like little bones. They're really neat. They just look like little fossils and little bones. That's what we're going to get started today. So make sure you check out the next video and I'm going to be getting everything started. And I might have some more tips and tricks in there too. I'll see you in the next video.